Hey guys, what up? Tominator here, and in this one I just wanted to give my take on the Classic Physique division, where it stands right now, and a couple easy ways I think they could improve it. So first off, let me say it's a great new division with a ton of potential. It only debuted at the Mr. Olympia in 2016, and with each passing year we're seeing more and more talent stepping up to the plate. Case in point, when young phenoms with a ton of hype behind them, like Wesley Vissers, Regan Grimes, and Steve Laureus, all fail to crack the top six, you know the level of competition's pretty dang steep. So I think so far it's been pretty successful in a breath of fresh air after decades of increasingly freaky mass monsters. It's a nice complement to the Open and 212 classes, because here we finally get to see the return of streamlined midsections and generally more appealing looking physiques. But that said, it's not perfect. I think there's a couple changes they could make that would help to improve this new division pretty much overnight. First and foremost, bring back the missing mandatory poses. For those of you who weren't aware, they only have these guys hit 4 of the standard 8 mandatories: the front double biceps, side chest, back double biceps, and abdominals and thighs. They also throw in one extra shot, which is the classic pose of their choice, basically a signature pose. So I'll admit, that is a nice touch. But where is the front lat spread? What about the side triceps, even the rear lat spread? The most muscular I can totally see them omitting because that pose, correct me if I'm wrong, was not even official until about 2004. Guys would just do it after the fact, but the judges never actually called for it. Plus, it's totally geared for the mass monsters anyway. But the front lat spread? Come on. One of the fundamental hallmarks of the so-called classic physique is the V-taper, and this is the quintessential position to display it. Does Lee Haney here not look every bit as classic as you can be? I mean, this is the perfect pose to highlight that coveted shoulder-to-waist ratio. And you can go way back with this one. Look at Reg Park pulling it off back in what, the 50s, maybe 60s? I'm not sure when exactly this photo was taken, but it would have been around that time period. Or how about Robbie Robinson in the 70s? You can't tell me this isn't classic to a T, so there's no way this one should be excluded today. Ditto for the side tricep. This is ideal for leaner bodybuilders because they don't have a big blocky midsection compromising their outline and distracting from the triceps themselves. So it's a great way to show off the mass through the upper arm while simultaneously emphasizing the slim waistline. These two poses I feel are actually better suited to classic than they are to the modern day open competitors. Again, mainly due to the tighter midsections, but also because many of the supermassive bodybuilders today seem to struggle hitting these ones properly, especially the side triceps. Now, the rear lat spread is perhaps a little less essential. I wouldn't really care if they don't add this one back in, as it's mainly about overall raw mass and width in most cases. And other than Franco Columbu, I can't think of too many old school bodybuilders who ever truly nailed it. But the side triceps and front lat spread absolutely ought to be reintroduced. Okay, so on to my second point, which is that they really should score the posing round. When we think of our favorite old school bodybuilder, whether that's Arnold or Zane or McCoway or Platt or whoever you personally admire most, what immediately jumps to mind? Is it memories of them standing in a call-out line, repeatedly hitting the same basic poses over and over? Or is it rather their iconic signature shots and artistic routines? I think the answer is blatantly obvious. Bodybuilding originated as an art form, and the art of posing really shines brightest in the context of an individual posing routine, where creativity and self-expression reign supreme. Remember back in the day when all these guys would actually choreograph their routine to a single song, incorporating smooth and graceful transitions and a variety of personalized poses designed to showcase their strengths while masking their weaknesses? I think we can all appreciate the artistry and emotional impact of a great posing performance. It takes significant time and effort to craft a quality routine. You can't just pull this shit out of your ass, so why should it go unrewarded? It makes zero sense not to score it, even in the open class, but in classic, it's an absolute sin to ignore it. Plus, if they do start scoring it, this will only serve to incentivize the competitors to up their game and really go all out in this aspect, ultimately making for a better and more entertaining show for all of us spectators. Finally, and this suggestion is perhaps a little more controversial, but I think they need to stop placing the primary focus on conditioning. They already do this to the nth degree in the open division, but if you actually go back and look at those old contests from the 70s and stuff, most of the bodybuilders back then weren't really all that shredded. Virtually no one had peeled glutes and hamstrings, and they typically had a softer look to their muscles overall. So why are we forcing these classic physique guys to adhere to modern day standards of conditioning? Now look, don't get me wrong, I still think conditioning is very important and typically only enhances one's physique, so it should certainly be rewarded. But I think the more important overriding criteria should be what Arnold himself said. Whose body would you rather have? If the judges refer to this question as their main guiding principle, I think that will naturally help capture the essence of the golden era more than rewarding peak conditioning above all else. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that aesthetics should take precedence over conditioning. A perfect example of this is when Steve Laureus defeated Divine Wilson back at the Pittsburgh Pro. A lot of people were arguing Divine should have won because he was more ripped and better from the back, but I actually agreed with the judge's decision to give it to Laureus because his structure and shape were just hands down more impressive looking, to my eyes at least. Of course, this means that the more genetically gifted individuals will stand to profit over the less shapely workhorses who bust their ass to get as dry and diced as possible, but in my opinion, that's how it should be anyway when we're talking about bodybuilding. At the end of the day, we all started lifting to look better and get stronger, not to walk around with striated butt cheeks, watered, depleted as a desiccated corpse. So I think that favoring the more aesthetic physiques will attract a more mainstream audience and draw more fans to the sport. We can save the freaky mass and conditioning for the open class. On the one hand, I get it, classic physique is still bodybuilding, so it should be judged accordingly. But on the other hand, what's the point in having this new division if you're just going to judge it the exact same way as you already do for the open class? Is the only difference here really just the weight caps? To me, this seems like something of a missed opportunity. Bottom line is that conditioning doesn't capture the essence of the golden era. Aesthetics and great posing do. But anyway, that's just my opinion. I'm sure most of you will at least agree with the first two suggestions about reintroducing the other poses and actually scoring the routines, but I suspect this last idea may prove a little polarizing and difficult to implement in practice. In any case, you can let me know in the comments below and feel free to add to this list of suggestions as well. I saw a couple comments in my last video mentioning that they should allow them to wear colored trunks instead of the same uniform black, and I think that's a good idea too. It would let them show a little more personality out there and choose a color that complements their skin tone, so I think it's a fine proposal. Maybe they could restrict the color palette though, so we don't wind up with a bunch of glittery hot pinks up there on stage that might prove too garish or flashy, but yes, I agree, there should certainly be more than just the same old black. What is this, the Ford Model T? What's wrong with the little color? Okay, but that's all for this one, guys. Thank you for watching. As always, feel free to leave a like and subscribe for more, but until next time, I'm the Tominator signing off, and I'll be back.